Okay, well, let's see. I think maybe I'm gonna hop over to Satori, where we left off. I did make a handful of videos that I sent out to you guys, um, regarding a few different topics. One of them didn't get uploaded properly, so I uploaded late, and maybe I'll send out an email about the successful upload with the right link about time and kind of our concepts of time because of stuff like the Transcontinental Railroad. And I made a video, even though the first, I don't know, 8 minutes of the video part got cut off. The audio is all there about socialism and communism and capitalism, and trying to like break it down a little bit. I was hoping that those videos would take care of covering some of the like bigger concepts for the material that we're looking at. Uh, Knowing that at least, oh, I'm breaking up. Uh oh. Is this better?
I can hear you, sir.
Okay. Um, uh, we yeah, we were using the videos. I'll probably keep trying to make one or two when I can. I'm certainly not going to be able to cover all the big kind of big ideas that I would have liked to via preloaded YouTube video. So maybe even discussing some of the ones that I already uploaded could be helpful. Like we might want to in person address the idea of socialism and communism versus capitalism, and really try to like sort out what that is. It's not overly complicated. It's not super hard to do, it's worth doing if we've got questions about that. I mean, inevitably other people will have questions about that are not live with us. Um, but and feel free to leave comments or email for those of you that are not watching live. But for us here, our class, um, I want us to kind of stop and pause where we need to and not go past stuff that we are not understanding. And I just want to encourage you guys that if you feel like, no, this is a stupid question, I don't want to ask this, or I'm the only one that's not with us. If you felt like that a whole bunch of times in the class, by the time we're halfway through the class, that might be the truth. But other than that, it's not, because we all have many of us have the same questions, and sometimes we don't even know how to phrase the question or really give word to it. So you might ask the exact question that other people are wondering. And so for me, as we're looking at history, we're kind of building on what we're learning. So if we have big holes or gaps in that building, it's shakier foundation, and the stuff it's too much pressure and it can kind of collapse, and we can't actually see how everything's connected. So I'd much rather get that part, when we need to earlier on, so that we're all together and we're all like presently aware and comprehending what we're moving through. So ask away as we kind of go through these things. And right off the bat, I'll say, does anybody need to pause and talk about capitalism and communism?
Laws is fair.
Is that something that we should kind of discuss and cover, or do you feel sorted out on that? All right, cool. Well, good. Maybe my video helped. I want to remake it, but I actually do like the give and take with students, and so I was thinking maybe if I do re-record that one because it didn't get recorded right, that I would try to get a
It's
student
recording.
on, or maybe like a few people on to kind of bounce things off of, or have them ask questions, because sometimes, especially as history teachers, we can ramble on.
I just realized
Okay.
you're like way like yeah, I just realized you're like kind of way up close to the
So
camera.
we
Or
talked about the
okay,
big idea of how industrialization has reshaped time, how it's reshaped, travel and communications. Unfortunately, it hasn't reshaped time travel. We're still trying, haven't figured that out yet. But it reshapes all these things, but we didn't really talk about how it reshapes image. So I think I would like to pause there and kind of unpack this idea, because image, it's been around for a very, very long time. Like, what are the cave paintings in France? They're like 50,000 years old, something like that, 50,000 years old. So humans have been making images for a really long time. That has not been in dispute. But our ability to manipulate those images or assign greater value to them, that definitely is changing over time as we kind of progress through, as we progress through these different technological advancements. So the big one being the camera, of course, right? That's huge. And the first cameras were before our course begins, right? They were like the kind of early mid half of the 19th century. But they're primitive. They take a very long time to even make. Like, the aperture has to be open forever. That's why, in those old westerny photos, people look like they're either dead. Sometimes they were dead because they were into photographing dead people, like their family after they died. It's weird. That's what humans
With
decided
their
to do when we
kids,
got
with the
cameras.
kids too.
We don't do that anymore so much, but they did a lot of that then. But
criminals.
the regular photos could look like dead people because they were stiff. And they looked, they looked really mean. Life was hard back then, but they also had to it's harder to hold a smile for 90 seconds.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah, I remember. Yeah, they say something
they
about
could
like
just
how the
straighten
cameras
up
were
and
so long to
stare.
take.
And that's why their eyes might be a little blurry, but the rest of them looks okay. So
I remember say there was
images
sometimes.
are there. We're starting to
Sorry.
process them very differently. And those early photographs were, they're mind blowing. It's a totally reality altering experience for humans. We do. It's a whole new thing. It's not like painting. All of a sudden, it's real life. You're not seeing an image or some kind of a man-made image in the sense of hand-drawn, hand-painted. This is an actual, you captured an image and have it and now can show it to other people. So this means in terms of how we, you and me, all humans, are thinking of ourselves in the world, that we can know about things with a lot greater ease and a much more clear detail. We can have kind of a shared understanding of things that are far away from us. So, has anybody read Moby Dick in here?
I heard of it,
We
but
got
I
one
never
person,
read
a
it.
couple. All right, good. Yeah,
I
it's a
heard of it,
long
but never read
read,
it.
and it wasn't necessarily super successful right when it came out. It took a little while, but it caught on. And the beginning of the book's great. It's very fun. It's Nantucket. It's like a fishing village, and it's just very interesting. And then they set out to sea, and that's interesting too. And besides a couple little tiny encounters, it's I don't know, a few hundred pages describing whaleboats and the whaling industry. And some of it's interesting because, they describe people going out on canoes to kill these whales with big spears, which I can't imagine. that sounds insane. but for the most part, it's like, yeah, I know what a whale looks like. I've been like, I live in Los Angeles. I can go whale watch. I've gone whale watching. I have National Geographic. Like we've got SeaWorld, for goodness sakes. You know, I don't know that that's even a good thing, but I know what whales look like. But you know, 150 years ago, 160 years ago, people didn't know they didn't know. Most people had never seen that. And a lot of people, you know, for a lot of folks, they'd never even seen the ocean. So like these super descriptive types of books make sense when in a world before, you know, captured image. But they kind of disappear, or they become a little bit more, you know, old school literature as images appear, and art does as well. So art does. This is when it begins to change quickly. And I think what we see in art is what we will see in fashion. It's what we'll see in culture. It's what we'll see kind of in technology and health sciences and all the things along the way from here. It's not that these things change. They have always changed for people. People have always been developing new technologies. People have always been learning new medicines, right? We forget some of those technologies and medicines, which is terrifying. So we've forgotten stuff sometimes. We've forgotten how to read and write sometimes. So it's terrifying to think about. But for the most part, we're always learning new things. We're always developing some new kind of culture, right? There's even amongst similar cultures, like the culture of the Roman Republic was much different than the culture of, you know, Emperor Tiberius or Caligula. They're different times, and people had different values, and all those things made those unique moments. But they're a long way apart from each other. There's a lot of space in between them. But once the Industrial Revolution comes, it's like change after change after change. You know, for you and me, it's maybe quite, you know, common that we listen to different music than our parents. And if your parents are hip and you're kind of into the same music, most of us don't listen to the same music as our grandparents. I mean, I do, but I just like all kinds of music. But when I was a teenager, I didn't. You know, like I listened to punk when I was a teenager. I had different music than my parents, and my parents had different music than their parents. And that kind of made generational rifts. People didn't used to have different music than their parents' music. They didn't used to have different kinds of clothes than their parents had, right? Like people actually didn't used to have different kinds of clothes. I mean, they did amongst the classes, and the upper class had changes of clothes, but like peasants just had, you know, you just had a set of clothes, maybe some.
If you were lucky to have that.
So culture is like changing quickly. Everything about culture. So what I'd like to do here is look at two things. Let me switch over here on the video. Okay. So right here in Satori, you can see our thing about blue jeans. And this is one of those sections I was trying to update about mass society and mass production and this kind of new way of thinking about culture in the world.
Yeah, remember when Satori...
Levi's.
Yeah.
I mean, we take them for granted. Like, they're so common that I just know that they have them, and in my size at like Ross or TJ Maxx pretty much all the time, let alone Levi's stores or department stores, right? Like they're pretty common. They're very popular.
Can you hear us?
They've been popular for a long time.
Can you hear us, dude?
Can you hear us?
Kind of some of the first mass-produced clothing.
I don't think so either.
Sense. And they did it with new technology, like even the zipper. You know, eventually that replaced.
This is awesome.
It's they're implementing all these new things, riveting. You know, rivets on the jeans, jeans in general, blue jeans, denim. Smaller factories were manufacturing, textiles and certain, parts of clothing.
We
But,
should have waved
I
at him
mean,
at the
Levi's
same
is a
time.
nationwide brand.
And somebody
that
message him.
you can get
What,
them
a lot of people are.
anywhere.
No, people
You get
aren't.
them from
That's a signal.
the mail order catalog now. That's crazy.
Boy,
So
Maybe he
the
meant to
people
mute
that
us on
live
purpose
in
so we can just get
Brooklyn
through this.
are going to buy blue jeans, and that's the same blue jeans that somebody's going to buy in the deep
It's got a
south,
symbol, a hand.
that somebody in the
Oh,
Midwest
there we
will also
go.
buy, that somebody in California will buy.
he's not
And you're
responding
talking
to
about
my
the
hand that I
railroad has
sent
just
50
been
times
completed.
already.
Hello, Mr.
I don't know, a decade before that, people are doing the Oregon
Hello?
Trail. Like
Okay,
that's,
let me
Hard to
I'll
know.
come back.
and it's not just blue jeans. Like you can order prefabricated
Hold on 1 second,
windows
I'm
through the
hungry.
Sears Roebuck's catalog, and have them delivered out to your house on the prairie that you made out of sod because there's no wood. so you can have a sod house with these like beautiful prefabricated windows, and you can get manufactured items out in the middle of nowhere.
Right?
And
Professor,
people
can you hear
farm
us?
out there that far away from other people because of the
Professor?
railroad.
No,
I feel like he just
So
recorded himself and
they
just
can
like
grow
let that
corn
whole
or
thing
wheat
pass.
way out in the middle of Iowa.
Oh, he's
or
not gonna hear.
Nebraska,
Just text it out.
Colorado.
That'd be funny if he just
And you
talks
can
with
ship it in time before it goes bad.
And
He's
then
probably
ship it to
saying,
wherever
why
it
is
needs
it
to
so
go.
quiet?
Before the railroad, like you couldn't do that. And when places
Who was just gonna
didn't
say that?
have
You
the
mentioned
railroad,
blue jeans, so when the
those things were
story,
not as feasible.
all the stories. That's all I was about to
so-
ask him. But he don't listen.
Whoa.
So yeah, the country's changing.
I think he muted
our
us on
idea of
purpose.
image now is being shaped into something that's pretty uniform.
Like, do we really talk over him so
So-
much?
You guys, let's
We
exit
can all
out.
wear the same pair of
See what
jeans.
I've already exited
You
out
can
and can't.
look at a picture of somebody,
Let's all exit out for 5 minutes.
somebody
Okay,
famous,
let's
which
do
is
it.
also
1, 2,
even
3,
more fun.
out.
Fame is
Well, do you wanna
just
do that? I'll
beginning,
do that.
really. Not royalty, not the elite. People just knew who those people were because they were rich and controlled everything. They weren't like, people weren't following them because they just thought they were social
You guys gonna
influencers.
do it or no?
Like they
Can you
followed
hear us
them
now?
because their lives like
I
held
only get it if everyone else
hung
is
in
gonna
the
do it.
balance of what those folks did. Now though, like you're getting
Oh, they're leaving.
celebrity, and that's
Some people are
a
leaving.
different thing. And those people are going to be wearing fashion, and all of a sudden,
Professor.
those fashions
Besides,
that
if he muted us, we should probably
a
see
couple
it by now.
generations earlier
My
would have been
my teacher done it before.
very, very, very
So-
expensive because they were individually
is there-
made hand
or something wrong with his mic?
You know,
Or with the
now are
volume to hear
becoming
us.
names, labels,
Or
brands,
who has a blowhorn
fashions that
or
are
something.
accessible to more than one
Anything
person,
now to get his
or
attention.
more than just one class of people even. So you can get folks that will even endorse products, even if they're kind of products that you'd think would be beneath them. They'll endorse them, and now the other classes can have those, and people at different parts of the country can have those. So it's stratifying all these different
This one says
you know,
his volume is all the way down.
spheres of American life and American experience. And so this is one idea about image, brands, logos, icons, image, and fame.
He's doing it on purpose.
So that's kind of like on one hand, and the other hand is what that means for art and how the Industrial Revolution just
I
totally
thought he just recorded
transforms
himself
that. And
as he explained this whole
that's
thing.
about image. But I want to pause so I can take questions and talk with you guys.
Dude, we've been.
Oh no!
Professor.
Dude, you muted us. We can't hear us.
He said, oh no.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Hello,
Whoa.
can you hear me?
Yeah, we
No.
can hear you. We can.
Can you hear us? Yes.
We can hear you, but you can't hear us.